Hello, Scorpio rising. This is Scopes Unshamed. I'm Britten LaRue, and today we are doing July 2026. So, you may have heard July 2026 is a big one astrologically. Um, in fact, astrologers have been talking about it for years as we move toward it. So, no pressure. You may have heard people speak on it already. Maybe they said things that were frightening. Maybe they said things that were very exciting. Maybe you haven't heard about it at all. We're going to get into it. So, one of the big things about this month is that the three outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are coming into a configuration where they can all see each other exactly. So they're in a dialogue. And all the outer planets, all of them, they destabilize us. That's what they do. The way it feels in the being destabilized does differ one from the other, but they're all doing that, and they're doing that from my perspective, from an emergence astrology perspective. They're doing it because they love us and they want to liberate us into more truth, into authenticity, into um, into ways of being where we're not being so unkind to ourselves, into ways of being where we can be more trusting of ourselves. And so, destabilizing is a great thing when we're getting out of patterns that are not helpful to us and ways of thinking about ourselves and thinking about reality that are not very helpful. But it does mean change. It does mean change. And we humans tend to be averse to change. And for fixed risings like Scorpio, because Scorpio is a fixed sign, for fixed risings, change does happen, but it often feels most comfortable when it's done slowly. However, you may feel like this summer is kind of pushing you along into change at a pace that may be a little bit faster than you feel like you can manage. And this is a good thing because we actually don't have to manage it with our minds. We just think that we do. In addition, Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, is also in this dialogue. Jupiter's coming into this configuration as well. So it's all happening at 4 degrees of Aquarius and Aries and Gemini and Leo, the fire and air signs at 4 degrees. So if you have your rising sign at four, anywhere around four, your ascendant, rather, the ascendant degree for a Scorpio, that will be particularly intense. And if you have any planets, especially in those signs that are at 4 degrees, they are getting like direct invitations right now. I'd like you to think of these as invitations or calls to experience. We're being called into experience, invited into experience where we're learning about ourselves in new ways. And it's activating some pretty important zones of your chart. So, the insight I'm receiving is that the most important thing that we can do right now is to be available. What does this mean? What does it mean to be available? We're invited to be available to notice what is coming up inside and what is coming up around us. And see what is coming up as the data of these transits so that you don't have to think to yourself, what does this astrology mean for me? What you need to do, I would say, from an emergence astrology perspective, is rather than wonder about that, just be with what's here because that's what it means. What it means for you is what is here for you. So it's being with the information of like this, these things have been coming up in me, these phrases, these questions, these kind of thoughts that are returning. Like you're sensing something inside of you. You're uncomfortable with this. You're wanting this. There's a stirring to experience this. There's a disinterest in that. Like, and some of these things may feel like they're not you because it's different. It's new. It's because things are dying off that previously were part of who you are. And that is making room. It's making room for new identities. It's making room for new ways of being, new perspectives, new goals, new interests, new dreams. And with that will come the need to update how you relate to the people you're in partnership with, update how you relate to your family of origin, update how you relate to your career, update how you relate to money, to vulnerability, to need, to teachers. So much of the chart is getting activated right now that it's kind of like everywhere. It's like in all the sectors of your life. You are seeing these things and you're like, why is this happening? Right. So to be available, which is, I would say, what the planets are inviting us, like the stance that the planets are inviting us to hold. To be available is to just notice what's coming up and be like, aha, this is the call to experience. This is the invitation to transmute, to alchemize how I previously was into who I'm becoming. We often talk all the time about how we want a becoming, like we want to evolve ourselves. But in order to evolve ourselves, that means we have to let go of things because we can't just keep accumulating, even though that's what overculture would like us to keep doing is accumulating and consuming. But actually, in order to do that, sure. And you can't talk to yourself like that anymore. You can't keep doing that thing that's not good for you. You can't keep accepting that thing that you don't like. That's where it's a little bit trickier, right? So to the degree that this is uncomfortable will be related to the degree to which there's a resistance to change. And I'm inviting you to hear me that this astrology is liberating. It's razzmatazz. This is exciting. It's only hard when we have to hold a funeral, the funeral to the old ways, the funeral to the shame stories. Like, take the shame stories to the curb. The universe is taking that garbage away. For real. I think you're going to feel a lot of this really strongly between the polarity of Aquarius Leo, which for you is your fourth house and your 10th house. And if you don't know what I mean by any of that, that's okay. That's for the chart lovers out there that study. If you're curious and you're learning, what I mean is that you are in kind of a long term death process with your lineage. Um, there's an invitation in your life around being the person of your lineage that's really updating the stories and the pain and healing in present time. And the difficulty in that is trusting that the attachment can still hold even as you heal yourself in ways that your caregivers and their caregivers and their caregivers may not have been able to. That's a long-term story that may have periods of intensity, but it's getting amplified here in July and really for the course of the next year because Jupiter is opposite at the top of your chart in how you relate to your public role. What is your public life inviting you into? versus your private life, your home life, which is connected to the home you grew up in or the homes, depending on your background. And there's a there's a give and take. There's an infinity loop between these parts of ourselves. So as you are really like amplifying in your public role, it may bring up underground, foundational material that wants to be transmuted and cleared into something like love and compassion. And this is a liberation. And so some of this public life, home life, public life may be really up for you in July, and into August and all of the next year, as Jupiter and Pluto are opposite each other for you in such a powerful polarity in your chart. And but wherever it's showing up, what I was saying before is really the big takeaway. If you appreciate my voice and you want to maybe get into more into Scorpio, you maybe want to get more into the language of astrology, I'm inviting you into my book, Living Astrology. I have a whole school called the Emergence Astrology School, and the most high value way to get into my school is to get into my book, which is a beautiful read, and it's also a beautiful book to hold in your hands. So I put the link in the show notes if you'd like to check that out. Please subscribe and comment, and I'll see you in August, Scorpio rising. Have a good month.